Hello besties and welcome to another Genshin theory! In one of my other videos I briefly talked about characters' constellations and how they foreshadow their futures. Last time I went over constellations I only analyzed genes, but today I want to talk about other important characters and what their constellations could mean for their futures in the main plot. Also, if I sound kinda different in this video, I feel sick right now, so just bear with me today. When I initially had the idea to analyze constellations, the first character I thought about was Kaeya. Mona tells us about characters' constellations and her voice lines about them, and I've already mentioned what I think Kaeya's means during a lore stream.
What I wanted to do was look at Mona's lines about Kaeya, or I guess her one line about Kaeya. What is it?
He's a papa ocelus, destined for greatness.
I don't know how loud this is, I might have to actually read it.
To hide ugly realities behind a layer of charm and elegance.
Yeah, that's the Conria thing.
He has made a clean break with his past, but one day fate will catch up with him. When it does, he will have a major decision to make.
Okay, I've never listened to that before, or at least if I have, I forgot about it. But if you remember, if you watched it, I made a video where I talked about what's probably going to happen in the future with Kaeya, what I think is going to happen, and I said he's going to have to choose between Mondstadt and the Abyss Order, because obviously he's working with the Abyss Order. There's no way he's not. So when she says, one day fate will catch up with him. When it does, he'll have a major decision to make. That sounds like he's going to have to choose between Mondstadt and Conria or the Abyss Order. The Abyss Order is Conria. We can say that with like near 100% certainty.
In her voice line about Kaeya, Mona says he's a papa ocelus, destined for greatness and grandeur, and to hide ugly realities behind a layer of charm and elegance. He believes he has made a clean break with his past, but one day fate will catch up to him. When it does, he will have a major decision to make. I think it's pretty obvious what that means. It's common knowledge that Kaeya is related to Conria and the Abyss Order while also working for the Knights of Favonius, so that major decision will likely be having to choose between the two of them. The Mondstadt Archon quests are unique in that their main antagonist isn't the Fatui like it is in Liyue and Inazuma, but it's the Abyss Order instead.
Huh? No! Don't get bored! Do not be fooled by him, dear dragon. He left you to rot alone. Now he attempts to deceive you once more.
Beetles.
Let your wrath fester. Mondstadt has already turned its back on you.
In the Traveler's separate Archon quest, We Will Be Reunited, the main antagonist is also the Abyss Order. I feel like the Fatui are secondary antagonists, while the Abyss Order is the true enemy because of that. Kaeya being from Mondstadt, where the Abyss Order are the big bad guys, is a sign that he'll end up being between them at some point. We already know that's true to an extent thanks to his heritage in Conria. But that doesn't even have to do with his constellation. His constellation is named Pavo Ocelus, which literally translates to Peacock Eye. Peacock may have something to do with his personality, but I want to come at it from a different perspective. Peacocks can hide and reveal major parts of their body at their own will. Kaeya's mentioned his desire to keep certain parts of his body hidden before too. That's why he wears an eye patch. He writes it off as the same reason he wears pants, but that's probably far from the truth.
My eye? My eye is fine. There's nothing unusual about hiding one's body parts from view. It's the same reason I wear pants. Or any other item of clothing, for that matter.
His constellation means Peacock Eye, which tells us he's only hiding his other eye for now. Peacocks don't just hide their colorful feathers, but they reveal them too. We'll see Kaeya's other eye at some point, but I really don't think it'll be for the same reason that peacocks show their feathers. Like Kaeya, Dainsleif is also from Conria and has an issue with his body. Dainsleif has what I can only describe as tattoos across his entire body, one reaching far enough to circle around one of his eyes. I doubt those are just aesthetic tattoos, though. Dainsleif was cursed by the celestial gods with immortality, and I bet those tattoos are actually scars from the cataclysm when Conria was attacked. They're the same color as the Abyss element, so maybe he got hit by it and it scarred him. Kaeya's eye could be affected in the same way. Dainsleif makes no effort to hide the scars, but he also doesn't talk about them. Kaeya wears an eye patch to cover where his would be so no one suspects him as being from Conria. When he inevitably reveals that he's with the Abyss Order to the Traveler and gives us his full backstory, he'll probably show us his other eye as proof of the violent outcome of the Cataclysm. Albedo's constellation is named Princeps Cretaceous, which literally translates to Chalk Prince. We know Albedo isn't human. He was created by an advanced alchemist from Conria named Reindotir. She used the life-giving form of alchemy called chemia to create him, and now Albedo uses chemia himself. There are a lot of references to chalk with Albedo. His title, Creative Prince, is German for Chalk Prince, and there was literally an event revolving around Albedo that had Chalk Prince in its title.
Chalk, the substance from which primal life is molded.
Since it's heavily implied that Albedo isn't human and he's tied to chalk somehow, I think it's safe to assume that Albedo is made of chalk, at least partially. But the chalk part of his constellation isn't really the important part. He's referred to as the Chalk Prince all the time. At first I thought it was really unlikely that Albedo could have been Conrian royalty, but now that I think about it, it would actually make a lot of sense. Reine de Tyr was one of Conria's best alchemists, and Conria as a whole was very invested in alchemy. She had the power to create life, and Albedo was likely her favorite creation given how much attention she gave him. We know nothing about Conria's government, so this is a shot in the dark, but hypothetically let's say it was a monarchy and there was royalty there. Wouldn't the monarch be someone who was really good at alchemy given the country's values? Reine de Tyr has the potential to be Conria's leader, and seeing how she was a motherly figure to Albedo, that would make him Conrian royalty too. But I'm not so sure about that one. Conria doesn't strike me as the kind of country to be super devoted to a single leader. Their whole thing as a nation was disrespecting the authority of the celestial gods, so I doubt they'd have their own. Prince could just mean that Albedo was Reine de Tyr's best and favorite creation. I've mentioned this before, but I do think that Albedo's loyalty to Mondstadt will be tested in the future in relation to Conria. It's clear that he's loyal to the Knights of Favonius and Mondstadt as an entire country, but he is from Conria. When we inevitably have a big confrontation with the Abyss Order, which is what's left of Conrians, Albedo will have to decide between us and them. He'll have to choose between his new friends or his former subjects. As much as he bothers me, I do think that Childe will come back in the main story soon. His constellation Monoceros Kylie translates to Celestial Narwhal. The latter probably just has to do with his hydrovision, but I'll get back to that in a minute. As far as I can tell, no one else has a constellation that directly mentions Celestia. Out of everyone, it makes sense for it to be Childe. He is a direct contradiction to everything Celestia stands for, whether he knows it or not. He uses a delusion, which is a man-made replacement for a vision. Thanks to A's voice lines, we can finally say that Archons do not give out visions, but the celestial gods do. Childe's ownership of a delusion is a nonverbal protest against Celestia. Childe is a high-ranking member of the Fatui, an organization created by the Tsaritsa for the explicit purpose of challenging Celestia. We're not sure if the Harbingers are aware of the Fatui's purpose or not, but either way, Childe is working against the celestial gods. I think that he has some idea of what the Tsaritsa wants, though. In his voice line about her, Childe says the Tsaritsa is actually a gentle soul. Too gentle, in fact, and that's why she had to harden herself. Likewise, she declared war against the whole world only because she dreams of peace. It's implied that Childe wants the same thing the Tsaritsa wants, and it's very clear that the Tsaritsa wants Celestia to relinquish its power, willingly or not. I feel like Childe's determination to take down Celestia has a lot to do with his family. Since we already met Tusser, I'm sure we'll meet the rest of his siblings in Snezhnaya later. Childe is the oldest sibling and therefore has a sense of responsibility over his younger siblings. We've already seen the lengths he goes to protect them, so it wouldn't surprise me if he joined the Fatui to ensure a safe future for them. In the end, Childe will happily fight alongside us against Celestia. Now let's talk about the Narwhal part of his constellation. Narwhals represent magic and freedom because of their elusivity and whimsical appearance. Magic relates to the otherworldly power of simply being a vision user, and freedom relates to bringing Celestia down. Childe is set up as the perfect candidate for the Tsaritsa's goal. Even though Dainsleif isn't playable yet, we already know what his constellation is. We don't have an official translation for the English version of the game, but the Chinese name translates to Snake Ring Constellation. Constellation being in the name is probably just a translation error, so that would just make it Snake Ring. Throughout history, snake rings have been used to symbolize eternity and rebirth. I think it's worth mentioning that in China they specifically represent regeneration, and MiHoYo's based in China, so I feel like they'd lean towards the rebirth part of the symbolism. Eternity makes sense because Dainsleif was cursed with immortality, but I'm not 100% sure what to do with rebirth. To be reborn, you have to die first. The symbol of rebirth probably isn't literal. Dainsleif isn't trying to regenerate himself, but his fallen nation. Whether or not he'll succeed, I'm not sure. The Abyss Order is stronger now that he's given them the first Field Tiller's Eye. I still don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I really think it was. More than anything, Dainsleif cares about Conria and avenging it. That's the whole point of the Abyss Order, so I have no reason to believe he would be against the organization. His goal of rebirthing Conria lives within the Abyss Order. Similarly to Kaya, I think later on it'll be revealed that Dainsleif has been working with the Abyss Order this whole time. Snake rings also represent eternal love. We've heard Dainsleif sparingly mention someone he loved who is apparently no longer with him. That person is heavily implied to be the Traveler's sibling, usually Lumine in official videos and stuff like that. But it would have to be Ether for anyone who chose Lumine as their Traveler. The point is, Dainsleif is bisexual and used to be in a relationship with the Traveler's sibling. We don't know why he's not with them anymore though, we just know our sibling is alive and that they're somehow separated from Dainsleif. I've been theorizing that Dainsleif works for the Abyss Order for a long time, but Traveler's sibling is the leader of the Abyss Order. If the two of them are part of the same organization, how is it that they don't see each other anymore? I don't think we have to choose between symbolizations here. Dainsleif is trying to get his relationship with our sibling back by staying loyal to the Abyss Order. Notice how he's conveniently there with us when we finally find our sibling and we will be reunited. He doesn't tell us he's working with the Abyss Order because he knows it would make us not trust him, and he needs our trust to regain our siblings. We have the ability to get him everything he needs to empower the Abyss Order like the first Field Tiller's Eye, which would then make our sibling trust him. I wish I could have analyzed more characters' constellations, but honestly, most of them are pretty straightforward. I was planning on checking out Kazuha's, but his literally just means maple leaf, so there's not much to do with that. Hu Tao's rerun just started, so I hope everyone who wanted her Toma got them. I was only really going for Toma because I already have Hu Tao, but I had to do 30 pulls to get him, which kinda sucks. But at least my pity is up for Alberdo. In my last video, I mentioned that I had to take some time off to work on college applications, but good news, I already got accepted to one. The rest of them haven't gotten back to me yet, but the one that did is one that I really want to go to, so I'm pretty excited. Unfortunately, I'm still really busy with school stuff though, so I might end up taking more time off from uploading in the future, but I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I already mentioned it before. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, besties!